I grew up in a small town, and for some reason, it just seemed to be embedded in my DNA from a young age that there was a knowledge that God was going to have me engage in the lives of African orphans at some point.
We really are starting from the beginning, aren't we?
Yeah.
Early spring of 2003, an amazing thing happened. Lad and I, we were actually in two different places, and all of a sudden both of us got this amazing call to go and serve in Africa.
We began to pray about what that looked like, and a few months later, like Crystal said, we felt like God told us to go to Africa.
And we had thoughts about what it would look like, what it would feel like, what would we do with our family. And one of the first things that I said to God was, just please, God, I don't want to work with orphans or vulnerable children. It's the one thing I don't want to do.
That's hilarious.
In 2007, we were actually here at K2. Lene and I were volunteering with the Fusion youth group, and on this particular night, the students were screening a video about worldwide humanitarian causes. And one of those was water. At the time we had Jackson, who's our son. He was 1, and he was crawling around, and I just thought how lucky he is and we were to have grown up in the United States, because here dying from diarrhea just doesn't happen. And that really grabbed my heart and was sort of the catalyst to say, well, what can we do to help these kids way far away in Africa?
We actually moved to Swaziland in October of 2004, and we were there until just before we moved here in 2010.
I was actually in the car with Rebecca Green, who attends here at K2, and she asked me, how's the process going of narrowing down where God's calling you to in Africa? And I told her, I said, I think I'm supposed to go to Swaziland. And she looks at me and she says, well, were you at church last Sunday? And I told her that I wasn't there, and she proceeds to tell me that there was a guy who actually spoke who was interviewing to potentially become one of the teaching pastors here at K2, and that he and his family had lived in Swaziland for 6 years. And I will never forget when she said that. My jaw just dropped. And I looked at her, and it was confirmation for me that I was on the right track and that none of this happened accidentally.
Just after I preached here at K2 for the first time, you and I had flown out, and we were driving somewhere, and I got a phone call. And this girl on the phone said, hey, my name is Sally, and I wasn't at church this weekend, but a friend told me that the guy who's going to be our South Campus pastor is moving here from Swaziland. And so I can't remember where we were driving.
We were actually driving here. We were moving to
we were
Utah.
moving here?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So we were moving here. And so, so we talked for quite a while, and that's when I met Sally and learned that kind of simultaneous with kind of the end of our time in Africa, in Swaziland, that God had been birthing in her this desire to help out orphans in this strange little dot of a country called Swaziland.
Obviously, being involved in Swaziland, you'll hear a lot about how we're going to help the kids and we're going to help the community. But the fact of the matter is that He is going to grow us. God is going to grow this church and us as individuals so much through this process of saying yes to Him, taking a step of faith, and starting to give our lives away in a way that we haven't done before.